You're on the internet right now, right? We use it every single day. But have you ever really stopped to think about what's coming next? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the biggest buzzwords in tech, Web3. Let's dive into what could be the next chapter of the internet.
Okay, so to get where we're going, we kind of have to look at where we've been. The internet has really come in three big waves. First, you had Web 1 back in the 90s. This was the read-only web, basically a giant static digital library. Then came Web 2, the read-write web we all know and use today, social media, apps, all that stuff. But now we are entering the era of Web 3, and it adds one tiny but incredibly powerful word to the equation: read, write, own. And that one word, own, that is everything. It's the whole point. We're talking about a massive shift in thinking, from just being a user on someone else's platform, kind of like renting an apartment, to actually becoming an owner of your little corner of the digital world.
But what does it really mean to own a piece of the internet? It sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, it means you can actually own your data. You can own your digital money. You can truly, provably own your creative work. And you can do it all without needing to trust some giant corporation to look after it for you. You're the one in control. So, to really get why this ownership thing is such a game changer, we have to understand the problem it's trying to solve. And it all boils down to this fundamental clash of ideas, this showdown between central power and decentralized people.
So let's break that down. On one side, you've got Web 2's whole setup, centralization. One company, one authority, controls the servers, the data, the rules. It's fast, it's convenient, sure, but it's also a single point of control and failure. On the other side is Web 3's vision, decentralization. Here, responsibility is spread out across thousands of participants. There's no single boss. So instead of trusting a platform, you trust transparent code that everyone can see.
And look, this isn't some weird, abstract idea. You live this every single day. Your bank controls your access to your money. Social media platforms can delete your account or your content whenever they want. Your personal data sits on some company's cloud server. In every one of these cases, you're trusting a middleman to do the right thing.
All right, so if there's no big company in charge, how does any of this work? Like, how can you possibly have trust in a system with no leader? Well, the secret sauce, the engine that makes all of Web3 possible, is a technology you've probably heard of: blockchain. And this is probably the best, simplest way to think about it. Just imagine a digital record book that's shared with everyone. Anybody can look at it, so it's totally transparent. But it's locked down with super strong cryptography, so nobody can secretly go back and change a page. It's a system that creates trust without needing a trustee.
So how does this magic record book actually work? It's basically a four-step dance. First, a bunch of actions, like transactions, get bundled together into a block. Step 2, that new block gets cryptographically changed to the one before it, creating a permanent, unbreakable history. Step 3, and this is the magic part, thousands of computers all around the world have to look at it and agree. Yep, that's correct. And finally, once it's on the chain, it's there for good. It can't be secretly changed or deleted. That global verification step is what gets rid of the middleman.
All right, so we've got this super secure shared record book. Awesome, but how do you prove that something written in that book is actually yours? Well, that's where your digital wallet and a couple of very important keys come into play. Your wallet has two keys. First up is your public key. The easiest way to think about this is like your home address, or maybe your bank account number. It's totally safe to share it with people. In fact, you have to. It's how they send you digital stuff, like crypto or an NFT. And then there's the other one, the private key. And listen up, because this is the single most important thing to get right. This is your digital password. It's the key to your front door. It is the one thing that proves you own everything in your wallet. You never, ever share this with anyone. Because if someone gets this key, they don't just have your password, they have your stuff.
Okay, but this whole thing brings up a really interesting puzzle, right? We live in a world of copy-pastes. Any picture, any song, any file can be duplicated a million times with just a right click. So how in the world can you prove that you own the original one?
And the answer is perfectly explained with this one idea. This is the solution: NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. Look, anyone can snap a photo of the Mona Lisa, but we all know there's only one original, and the Louvre owns it. An NFT is like the museum's official, unbreakable, publicly verifiable certificate of ownership for that one-of-a-kind painting. The blockchain proves who owns the real deal.
And please, please, do not think NFTs are just about digital art. That's just the tip of the iceberg. An NFT is simply a digital certificate of ownership.
It can be for anything unique. It could be a ticket to a concert, the rights to a song, a special sort in a video game, a membership pass to a club, even things like virtual land or official licenses. The potential is huge.
So that's how you can own things. But what about how groups of people work together and make decisions? Web3 is flipping that on its head, too. And this brings us to a really futuristic concept called a DAO, which is basically an organization with no boss.
So what in the world is a DAO? It stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Think of it like a club or a company where the rules are written in code and all the decisions are made by the members themselves. There's no CEO calling the shots. Instead, the community votes on proposals, usually with tokens. And if a vote passes, the blockchain automatically makes it happen. It's a wild, new way for people to organize online.
Okay, so as we start to pull all these pieces together, the blockchain, wallets, NFTs, DAOs, you can see we're not just talking about cool new tech. We're talking about the building blocks for entirely new digital economies. But with this new frontier comes a whole new level of personal responsibility.
And a massive piece of that puzzle is something called DeFi, or decentralized finance. The easiest way to think about it, it's like banking, but without any banks. Instead of relying on slow, expensive middlemen, DeFi uses code, smart contracts on the blockchain, to let people lend, borrow, and trade directly with each other. It's fast, it works across borders, and most importantly, you are always in control of your own money.
Which brings us to probably the most crucial, can't-miss point of this entire conversation. In this new world, who's in charge of your stuff? Who's responsible? If you forget your password or get tricked, there's no 1-800 number to call. There's no bank manager to help you. The number of people responsible for keeping your assets safe is one: you. And because you're the one in charge, you absolutely have to understand the risks. This isn't a game. There are scams out there, tons of them. You have to guard that private key with your life. The value of these new assets can swing wildly up and down, and sometimes there are bugs in the code. With great power truly comes great responsibility.
So after all that, what's the big idea? What's the one thing you should walk away with? It's this. Web3 is a fundamental shift toward a more open, a more transparent, and ultimately a more user-controlled internet. It's about moving power from the center to the edges.
Look, this isn't science fiction. This next version of the internet is being built as we speak, brick by developers and creators all over the world. Which really just leaves one final question for you to think about. As this future takes shape, will you be a renter or will you be an owner?